בעשרה מאמרות נברא העולם, we are beginning of fifth perek. They are עשרה מאמרות נברא העולם. The world was created with 10 commands. If you review Bereshit, you will see 10 stages of creation. Our world did not come into being as a whole, complete entity. It got, what's the word? Evolved. Evolution is not such a dirty word. Right? I hope people don't get upset at me. But Torah tells us, and here Mishnah reiterates, that the world did not. And Mishnah is going to tell us it could have. It's not because of God's ability that it's like that. It's God's ability, obviously. Hashem could have done it anyway. Hashem chose to. But Hashem chose to create it in the form that is called Asar Ma'amarot, means in 10 different stages. The beginning, the world was not developed, evolved fully the way we see it. It came stage after another stage after another stage. Slowly, the world came to its completion as we know it. I've said this before or not. Ramban says something, and it's a pleasure reading it now after 900 years, because I think it's like a prophecy that came true. It's basically a prophecy that came true in our time. Ramban says that the first Rashi in Chumash, Rashi says, brings down Midrash. Midrash says, we didn't need the whole Sefer Bereshit. What do we need? What do we need to know? Hashem created the world. So, why is it said? It should have Torah started from where? Torah says, logically speaking, Torah should have started from the very first mitzvah that was given to Moshe. Torah is a book of mitzvot. So it started with mitzvah number 1. The first mitzvah commanded, Rashi, the very, very first Rashi in Chumash says, was HaChodesh hazeh lachem, and you should have started. So why does it say Bereshit? Ma'aseh yadav higid la'amo latet lahem nachlat goyim. Hashem decided to teach us about His work. Hashem decided to educate us. More than the commandments and the mitzvot that He wanted to give us. More than that, He decided to educate us. Right? So, we understand the happenings and the history of this world better. Now, Raman says, I don't understand this Midrash. What is Midrash talking about? I don't need to know who created the world. What more important thing you could know in your... How could you have a religion? How could you have belief in God if you don't believe that He created it? What is Midrash talking about? You hear Raman's question?
Yes.
And the question is directed not only at Rashi but at Midrash. I mean, it's not... Raman is not trying to argue. He just says, I'm trying to understand what do these Tanoim and Midrash are talking about. So he says, what Midrash is asking is like, it's not that I shouldn't be informed of the Creator. Of course I should. He said, but as far as our belief system, as far as our keeping of the Torah, would have sufficed to say what we have in Aseret HaDibrot, in Sefer Shemot, after HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, Ki b'sheshet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim et haaretz u'bayom she'ish alei nafash. God created the whole universe in 6 days. 7th day He didn't. That's why you should keep Shabbat. That would suffice as far as Torah. So why do I know the detail of the first day was this, the second was that, and then the whole evolvement, the whole production and development of this world? That will teach me more how to understand this world. And he says, mankind would have to spend hundreds of years, and that's the prophecy that came true, to figure out what came before what, how the world God developed. But a 6-year-old Jewish child could open the Chumash and figure out all those many hundred years of work and research and trial and error and theories that were proven and disproven and perfected and embellished and finally have gotten to be a point where they could be accepted within 5 minutes. And look at us, sitting 900 years after a memory is so true. If we could more or less call Isaac Newton or the time of Renaissance when people got it to get serious and curious about this world and to develop sciences now after 500 years, after many hundreds of years of really a lot of wrong theories and a lot of trial and error and updates, this and that. So we have certain understanding of this world. We know this world started originally, our planet was all molten, was in liquid form. Then it got a crust, it solidified. After that, we had water on the planet. Then we had vegetation. Then life started in the sea. Then we had birds. Then we had animals, and eventually humans. Isn't that what Bereshit tells us? Exactly like Raman says. This many hundreds of years of research is clearly in Torah. It says, you know what came before what? In the order, in the process of development, what was the least developed, and it got more and more and more developed. Life started in the water, in the seas. Torah tells us. It took science hundreds of years to know that. Literally hundreds of years. And then, well,
Rabbi,
yeah.
If that is, do you see that there is a pattern that the last evolved is more intelligent than the previous evolved?
Yes,
right?
sir.
So a wife is more evolved than a man, right? A woman is more evolved than a man?
Kabbalah says that.
So why is she always, concerned about the beauty and outside things? The color of the napkins, the color of the wallpaper.
Why is that?
That's more advanced.
That's more advanced? Really, I'm serious.
It's the nature of it.
Why? As a general rule, there's something very fundamentally wrong with generalizations, because that's what it is. It's generalization. It doesn't apply to everybody. But as a general rule, right? Some say it's because of our attitude, but I think it's been shown that it's not only because of the environment, right? Men are more pulled towards academic things, math and whatever, and women are pulled more towards humanities, right? Even when it comes to, let's say, subjects of study and this, and even those who do like to study, they're more. Men are much more theoretical than women, right? Women are practical. Women are much more practical. You have to know what that means. What does that mean? Yesh lahem bina yetera. They have extra bina, but they have da'atan kela. As far as if you put a man and woman together, again, generalization. If you put them next to each other, right? If you put them next to each other, women have more bina, men have more da'at. If you understand that, you have no more problems. If we all understood that, all Shalom Bayit problems would be solved.
I don't understand.
Right? That's Imut Hashem, another session. Let's not get sidetracked from our thing. But I don't know. That's a good question. Let's leave it for another. I have to work on that. I mean, Zohar does tell us that their neshama is more evolved. The neshama of Zen is more evolved. But
when you see that, it says, how many women do you see right after the tefillah, they go on the back on the phone?
okay. True. I mean, it's. Okay, so at any rate, this is the Asara Ma'amorot. The world was created in a process. Why is that? V'halo, says Mishnah, v'halo b'ma'amar echad yachol leibarot. Hashem with one command could have created the whole world already functioning. And when you go, I don't know if anybody, I've been to Detroit to Ford Motor Company, and you see the assembly line, where you start from the beginning, you go, there's a tour guide, and you see from the beginning till then the car ends up coming up. But that's only after they built all the other parts, right? You see a car coming together where they build all the other parts, right? Just I'll tell you something in parenthetically. Mekubalim ask, how come Hashem created Adam and Chava together? And then he had to put the very first general anesthesia that we know of in the world, and he did a surgery, he separated them. They were sort of Siamese twins. Well, why do like that? Hashem knew that that's what he's going to do. By us, we do something, we don't, hey, it didn't work out right, so I have to go fix it, upgrade it, put a fix in. But Hashem knew, so why not separate them, create them separated to begin with? So what do the Mekubalim say? Because if you create two separate things, they could never become one, right? If you make two halves of a cup and you try to glue them, they never are the same as two halves that were one, and now you want to put them back together again. So it's very interesting. They make the body of the car with the doors, and they paint it. Then they take the doors off. They put them through the assembly line, and the door go through another assembly line, because all the speakers and the wires also need to go in the door. They only did the metal. The metal, they build them together. They take it apart, so the door goes another assembly line, the body goes another assembly line, and then at the end they come back together again, and they get this screwed on to each other.
They match them.
What?
They match them. They actually track them.
Yes, if one line, if they a wire goes missing or whatever, they have to stop the door line. The other thing automatically gets shut down. They can't move on. They sort of move together. The two things, the computer matches their speed, and if one of them slows down. So I asked him, why you do that? It just lost their efficiency here, because it happened during another thing. They were out of speakers. The guy who was supposed to bring in from the storage didn't come in time, so it took him 10 minutes to bring his speakers to put in the doors. So the assembly line was down. Right? Everybody was sitting for the line to move again. So the other line was also down, because they need to work in sync. Because the door needs to come and be attached to that very same car. There are different colors. So he said, why? He said, because our experience showed that if they're not built and painted together, they never match the way they should. Right? It's worth it for them. The loss of productivity is worth it, because at the end, try to match it. Try to make one out of two halves that weren't halves to begin with. It's so much trouble that the loss of productivity is more efficient. Right? So it was an interesting trip for a motor company. At any rate, so when we create something, we need to create the pieces, and we need to work at each end, and then eventually put them together. Hashem could create the Ford Focus or whatever it is in a building kavanai. Everything should come into existence. What's the answer, Mr. Achdut? What's the answer to the old chicken and egg question? What does Gemara say? Chicken? No. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Chicken.
No.
Both.
It is impossible. The question is a very good question, because it's impossible. Either scenario is impossible. So Gemara in Masechet Betzah says, Hashem created a chicken already about to lay an egg.
Why? Why not the chicken?
With the system inside.
Oh, with the system, but no.
So that's what it means. That means the system had to come together with the chicken. Otherwise, how is it going to work? That's exactly, see, that's the depth of the question, because if it didn't start out with something, that system doesn't usually develop.
The potential was.
The potential has to be there. The potential has to be there. The potential has to be there. Now that's perhaps a little bit understood when a baby girl is born. Every egg she's ever gonna have is in her body already. She's never gonna have any more eggs. All the eggs are formed while she's being formed in the womb.
Oh, wow.
So obviously the body has to develop. They go through puberty. The body is not ready. It's not an adult yet to go through gestation and ovulation, etc., etc. But it's all there. It's all there. So it has to be part of the person. Otherwise, it's very hard to make a patch later. It's very hard to make a patch later. So Hashem could create the chicken and the egg together. Yeah, I'm sorry we game. I'm just trying to make this is a very deep mission. Trying to appreciate the question here. Let me tell you another thing, because I find it so empowering. So empowering. Light travels at
Fast speed.
right, very fast speed, 300,000 kilometers a second. So that's a lot of distance. Yet it takes the light from the sun to get to Earth 8 minutes and 30 some seconds. Correct, exactly. So the truth of the matter is, I'm sure you have seen when we live on the coast. You go to the ocean. You ever been there by sunset? It's beautiful. You see the sun goes down.
Yeah, the ship.
Right? You go by the so it's gorgeous. It's something, and it's an amazing thing. And you see the sun goes down. So the truth of the matter is, the sun went down 8 minutes ago. It's not going down now.
Oh, besides that.
It took that image, the lights, it took it 8.5 minutes to come to my eye, but sun is really not there. It was there 8.5 minutes ago, and a minute from now you see the sun a little bit lower. That was 8 minutes ago also. The sun is already gone, it's below the horizon. It just will take us another 8 minutes till it's below the horizon.
It's the light, huh?
Right? It's the light. So, depending on their distance, it will take some time for them to get to us. How far is the North Star from us? How many light years? I'm not. I don't remember exactly, but I think it's around 100 or something. It takes 100 years. Light. It takes the light you see. You go tonight, right? North Star. The thing about North Star is that it never changes. It's the only star in our view that doesn't change its position. Any star that you see will change its position from summer to winter, from beginning of the night to the end of the night. Because as the earth rotates, so what was there, you see it from different, just like we see sun from, in different positions.
Why not?
The North Star? Because North Star is right on top of the axis of the earth. If you imagine a circle and you turn around the circle, every dot on the circle changes its position except
The middle.
the center. The center will never change. It's always be so, because it's on top of the axis of the earth goes around the two poles, so it's above the North Pole. It never changes its position in the sky.
434 years.
434 years. So it takes 434 years. But the light that you see is the light that was emitted when our great-grandfather was alive, most likely. That's when this light that I see tonight was there.
They just changed it to 323.
Okay.
It's a lot
Two versions of Google. Yeah.
323.
Okay. So at any rate, Polaris, right? Polaris. We're talking about
The
Polaris.
name of it?
The North Star.
Yes.
400.
So, but there are some stars that will take them thousands of years to get to us.
But it
There are
gets to
stars.
us,
There are stars that we see in the sky. You go out tonight and look at it. The chances are you will see a bunch of stars where the light was from 15,000 years ago.
Or when Moshe Rabbeinu was getting Torah.
Yeah, that's only 3,300. I'm saying 15,000 years. So here's a question from Rav Moshe Shuab Zecher Tzadik Yiracha.
The world was created first.
That's right. What am I seeing here? When you see a light from 15,000 years ago, what are you seeing?
But the sheet is means beginning.
My understanding is when Hashem created a man, he created an old man. Then he created a
Mature, mature.
Okay. He created a mature world.
That's right. That means when Hashem created a tree, the tree was only 1 day old, but the tree looked a mature tree. The tree was about to give fruit, or most likely had fruit on it already. Adam Arishon, he was created, Chachamim tell us, at age 18. 18. Now, there are a lot of cute questions you could ask. ICE, Immigration and Customs. Now, when children come in, they don't trust them anymore. So how old are you? Because they know. They says under 18, they give much better treatment. They won't be sent. So they don't trust them. You know how they determine their age? They X-ray their wrists. Apparently,
Yes.
we move our hands. Most naturally, is our hands move, and the wear and tear on your wrist shows how old you are. They could determine your age. So I just have this question. If they X-rayed Adam Arishon's wrist when he was born, what would they say? It's a 1 day old bone or 18-year-old bone? Did Hashem put in the wear and tear or not? But it doesn't matter. As far as maturity, it was a mature thing. The same question is that tree. If you cut a branch off, how many rings would you see? 1 ring, or let's say 15 rings, because it's a mature tree. It looks like a 15-year-old tree. How many rings would you see on that tree?
Since we see a million-year-old world now, so
Well, we only see it in the realm of cosmos.
No, even
We don't have trees
even
more than
stones.
5,000 years old.
Even the stones or writings and stuff. Well,
So says Rav Shimon Shuab. Rav Shimon Shuab says Hashem put that distance from the world because Hashem wants each and every generation to have a chance to have at least a glimpse of Sheshet Yemei Bereshit. You're actually looking at Sheshet Yemei Bereshit. You're looking at that light in the beginning, that mature light. Because still we're getting from there. It's from 10,000 years ago. That means he was giving light. Is that light there? What you're saying is true, but what are we looking at also? We are looking at Sheshet Yemei Bereshit. It's an unbelievable thing.
what's so
We
good?
go out.
What's so good about it?
What's so good about
Let's say
it?
last night I looked at the light of the Sheshet Bereshit. Am I a better person?
It's inspiring. Every time we say Birkat HaLevana, Mitzvah Hashem, this Mitzvah Shabbat, we say Birkat HaLevana. By Shamayim, it's much easier to say Maaseh Tzvotecha. Hashem, your handiwork. Hashem, your handiwork. That is why, by the way, Torah says, Kara Rakia Shamayim. Hashem called Rakia Shamayim. What does that mean? What does that pasuk mean?
Already had Shamayim before.
That's one good question. In the first pasuk says already there is Shamayim. In the third pasuk says Hashem. Fourth
Called it
pasuk,
Shamayim.
right? Hashem called Rakia Shamayim. I want to know who called it Rakia that Hashem called it Shamayim. If it's Shamayim, so tell me Shamayim. What kind of nonsense is this? Hashem creates something, says it's Rakia. He says, you know what? Let's call this Rakia Shamayim. Like, if it's Shamayim, so then it's Shamayim. There's a renaming process, renaming a ceremony. Who called it Rakia to begin with? Now we have a number of this in Bereshit. Weinberg Zechat showed all of them, and they're very, very educational. You know, perhaps that is one of the biggest limudim of Bereshit, that verse, every time it says Vayikra means it is not. It is not that thing, it's just called that thing. Right? Hashem creates or v'choshech. Then it says kara la'or yom la'choshech laila. So then why call it or to begin with? That's one question. The other question is like you asked. Then it says vayboker yom echad. So that means yom is a 24-hour period, not the light part of the light part is not day, the whole 24 hours is day. Right? So every time it says Vayikra, that means Torah is defining for us the main part of that thing. Yes. See, a day, really, Yom is 24 hours. Yom is not Or. Or is Or, Choshech is Choshech. Yom is Yom. However, Kara la Or Yom, Hashem called the light part of the day, day. Day really means 24 hours. But we refer to the light part also as the day. Hashem called it so to teach us, to tell us that really the functional, the efficient, the productive time of a human being is during the day. At night, not much will happen.
How do you know that? How do you learn that?
Torah is defined. That's what Vayikra means. Because Vayikra, every time Torah in Bereshit says Vayikra, it's something that is already is a different concept that is called by that name. Yom, why do you call or Yom? Yom is a 24-hour period. Torah defines it already. So you have it by many things. Kara la Yabasha Ares. Right? There is Yabasha, there is Yamim. There is dry land and there is seas. So then it says Hashem calls Yabasha Ares. First of all, Ares up to now was referred to the whole planet. The whole planet includes both the oceans and the continents. Why are you calling now Yabasha, which are the continents, Ares? And if it is Ares, why do you call it Yabasha? No. The true name is Yabasha. But by Torah saying it's Ares, Torah is telling us true 80% of the world are oceans, but the productive, the functional part of the world where man will be efficient in, the man will be in control and create impact, for most part is Yabasha. So that's why Yabasha is called Ares. The function of Ares is defined in Yabasha. I said this to answer your question. So going back to the first one, Vayikra la Rakia Shamayim. Shamayim, the word Shamayim is in the first place. The word Shamayim means the spiritual realm. Now we've discussed this many times. We have no way of imagining the spiritual realm. It's impossible to imagine. No way. Can't imagine it because our senses cannot digest it. However, Hashem put some sort of a handle, a little bit of a handle for us. A little bit of a handle. I think these were his words of Weinberg Zechat. Rakia means a space. The space, planets, the galaxies, etc. Korala Rakia Shamayim. In shorthand, if you will, right? Hashem called space heavens. It's not heavens. It's not a heavenly realm. It's a physical realm. It's not a spiritual. Galaxies are not a spiritual. They're physical beings. However, as far as trying to imagine something, trying to picture an impossible thing, you look up as soon as someone says Hashem, you look up. Why? It's somehow Hashem put, and I can't explain better than this. Somehow there is a feeling, sixth sense type of thing. We have a sixth sense that when we look up there, we understand. You know what? There are deeper and higher beings that transcend this physical realm. Very good. Very good. So that's what it means. But Shamayim doesn't mean Shamayim, the true meaning of Shamayim is not up there. True meaning of Shamayim is a totally different realm, the spiritual realm. But Hashem called Raki Hashamayim. We call the space, we call it heavens. Even in English, we call it heavens.
Right.
Right? It's heavens. It's heavenly. Right? Heavenly bodies. Well, not heavenly bodies, they're physical bodies. However, that is why, that's what it means. Hashem called it Shamayim. That means Hashem allowed a certain connection to us, even though it may be very difficult to articulate that connection. But there's some sort of a sense. Oh, there's a much higher, more transcendent realm. That is the spiritual realm. And when we look at the heavens, it's easier for us to try to imagine that and picture it. But we will, Imrit Hashem, have to continue again this concept of Asar Mama.
Shamayim is part of Rakia, or Rakia is the whole thing?
Pasuk says Hashem called Rakia Shamayim.
Okay.
The word Shamayim in reality